The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests do not state or reflect those of the movement. Sa history, marami ang nalilito kung ano ba ang tunay, ano ba ang kwento. Pakinggan natin ang mga dalubhasa. Intindihin ang kasalukuyan sa pag-aaral ng nakaraan. Tayo na't makilahok sa ating talakayan. Ito ang Historyl, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Good evening to our listeners! Welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Historyl, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Ako po ang inyong host, si John Kevin Samson, at kasama ko muli si Sir Jamaico Ignacio. Sir, hello!
Hello sa ating listeners, mapagpalayang araw po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to our 10th episode special. Sana mag-enjoy kayo sa aming podcast ngayong araw na ito.
10th episode, grabe, pang 10 episode na pala natin ito na ginagawa ang ating Historyl. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hindi counting today, no, nakahanap na tayo ng siyam na bisita para sa ating discussion. And in fact, one of those discussions, meron pa tayong 3 youth officers na bisita. So, talaga namang maraming salamat po sa aming mga listeners at sa aming mga followers sa Spotify at sa aming mga current listeners. Don't forget to follow us in Spotify and in Anchor FM. At huwag niyo rin pong kalimutan na i-follow ang FB page ng High School Philippine History Movement.
Yes.
So sir, no, napakagandang... so ngayon wala tayong bisita. Napag-desisyonan namin ni Sir Jamaico na for this 10th episode, siguro kami muna ang mag-uusap, magkwentuhan, magdadaldalan. Maybe we follow a different format. Relax lang tayo dahil, you know, ang kasaysayan ay dapat inaaral in a very relaxed, very focused manner. We should have fun when studying history. Kailangan natin enjoy lang tayo sa pag-aaral ng kasaysayan, no? And remember, tulad nga nung nabanggit last time sa ating podcast, history is not only something that happens in the past. History also happens in the present, and history is also what will and what might take place in the future. So actually, historical, everything that happens to us is historical. In fact, this 10th episode is a historical event for our podcast. And recently, napakaraming nangyayari sa ating lipunan, sa ating bayan. And marami, no, talagang everything is relevant, and everything, a lot of things in our society, in the current events, show us kung gaano ba talaga kahalaga ang pag-aaral ng kasaysayan. And speaking of current events, no, mabanggit ko lang, Sir Jamaico, recently, I think a few days ago, Senator Bongo issued an apology about about a speech that he made during the commencement of the 500 years of the victory of Lapu-Lapu in Mactan. So, bakit nga ba siya nag-apologize? Sinasabi niya na meron siyang mga, siguro, dun sa kanyang talumpati, ay nagkaroon siya ng mga historical, siguro may mga historical facts doon na may mga pagkakamali. And nag-apologize naman siya. He said sorry, and he also mentioned na he is willing to listen to experts, and that's actually good. I think that is good to acknowledge that pag nagkamali tayo, we say sorry, and we rectify it by listening to experts. Siguro that's a good thing to hear. Pero ano nga ba yung mga, siguro yung mga nasasabi ng mga eksperto, na ano ba yung mga claims dun sa speech, or yung mga nabanggit sa speech na pagkakamali? Na I'm sure naman the senator does not mean, 'di ba, na hindi niya naman sinasadya. Syempre, lahat naman tayo paminsan-minsan nagkakamali sa ating mga sinasabi. Pero pag-aralan lang natin, no? So ano ba yung mga, siguro yung mga claims dun sa speech na merong pagkakamali? Three things, and I'd like you to confirm this, Sir Jamaico, na bakit ito mali. Yun yung una kong gustong malaman eh. Bakit mali yung mga claims na yon, and ano yung tama, no? So according to that speech, siguro yung babanggitin ko lang yung mga factual kasi syempre the rest are opinions. So
that's true.
Hindi mo naman pina-fact check ang opinions nga yun eh, di ba? So yung mga claims na siguro ni Senator, no, na Lapu-Lapu is a Tausug, siguro yun yung ethnic group ba? Tama?
That's correct. In Muslim Mindanao.
And that's all. Speaking of that, that's also one of the claims that Lapu-Lapu is a Muslim and he is from Mindanao. So, ito yung mga napansin ng ating mga historians na, uy, teka lang, parang hindi yata tama yung mga facts na yun. And siguro, by studying it, napansin din siguro ni Senator Bongo na, oo nga, no, mali. Kaya he issued an apology, no? So, on both sides, I think na recognized naman na may mali doon sa mga facts na yun. So siguro, just to clarify, ano ba yung tama, no? I mean, bakit ba mali itong mga statements na ito?
Well, you have to realize, nabanggit kasi ni Senator Bongo that pinadala daw siya from, as mentioned earlier, from Muslim Mindanao, from the Tausugs, to attack Magellan and his crew. But you have to realize, if you're going to look into primary sources, meaning documents, evidence from the people who actually survived that encounter, such as Pigafetta and the other survivors of that fateful day who escaped the attack, according to their records or to their documents, medyo there's no proof that states that one, Lapu-Lapu came from Mindanao or was Muslim. In fact, Dr. Jobers Bersales, director of the University of San Carlos Museum in Cebu, actually mentioned this. Let me quote him. This was published earlier in the Philippine Star. He said, to quote, "He can't be Muslim," in reference to Lapu-Lapu, because it is clear that the Visayas and Cebu was full of people that were tattooed, who ate pork, and that Muslims were having a hard time making inroads in conversion here, referring to Cebu, because of those practices. Because if you recall, Islamic practice forbids the eating of pork and the quote-unquote mutilation of the skin or yung pagtatattoo. And when the Spaniards came, they noticed and they observed and they wrote it down through their manuscripts when they went back to Spain, yung mga survivors. They noticed that the Visayans were eating pork, and at the same time, they were practicing yung pagtatattoo. And those were strictly forbidden in Islamic culture. And alam na alam yun ng mga Espanyol, given the fact that the Spaniards who lived in the Iberian Peninsula alongside the Portuguese, they know Islamic culture because they were, for centuries, conquered by the Muslims. It was only after the Reconquista or the Christian pushback in the Iberian Peninsula when they were able to push the Muslims out of Western Europe. So the point being is, alam ng mga Espanyol yung kulturang Muslim, kulturang Islam, at ayaw nila doon because of cultural trauma. Kaya nung dumating sila sa Pilipinas, malalaman nila kung Muslim, or their terminology for Muslims, Moro. Malalaman nila kung Moro yan. Kasi kung Moro yan, papatayin muna nila yung mga yan kesa sa i-convert nila yung mga taong yan. Kaya nung dumating sila and they saw they were practicing this, they're more animist, they're more of Anito worshippers rather than Muslims. That's why they were able to convert the likes of, say, for example, Raha Humabon. And because they were amicable to conversion, there was, based on the transcripts that was read at least, it's proof that no, they're not Muslims from Mindanao. In fact, the Muslims of Mindanao during this time were actually have more advanced weaponry according to Dr. Jobers Bersales. May mga kanyon pa nga yung mga tausog, yung mga Muslim Mindanao during that time, mas advanced. Kasi kung dumating yung mga Espanyol at nakita na lang mga Muslim to, bakbakan kaagad yan.
Oo, barilang kaagad, di ba?
O patayan kaagad yan kasi may cultural trauma nga sila sa isa't isa. The point being is, nung dumating sila, they encountered not Muslims but animist Bisayans.
All right. So those are the claims. No? So Lapu-Lapu is not from Mindanao and he's not Muslim. Actually remember this question when I was in grade 2. I think my teacher asked us kung ano ba ang religion ni Lapu-Lapu. And of course, in our very young minds, parang ang nasa isip namin, duality eh. Kung hindi Kristiyano, Muslim. Parang ganun pala yung nasa isip namin eh.
And dualistic.
Oo eh. And of course, we were wrong. No, we were wrong. Kasi, of course, later on when you learn your history, you will find that those are not the only religions in the Philippines, especially in pre-colonial Philippines. No? Na we have the animist, yung mga sumasamba sa mga anito, yung mga
sa
nature, sa araw, sa mga puno, which I think naman even some of our indigenous people continue to practice.
Kaya may konsepto tayo ng amihan, habagat,
that's right.
Natural environmental phenomena that they worship as godlike deities.
Tama 'yon, no? So yun, and hindi rin tausug si Lapu-Lapu.
No evidence that states that. No direct empirical evidence states that.
Okay. So no evidence. So parang kumbaga could be, pero dahil walang ebidensya, anything beyond the factual is only speculative.
Yes.
So yun. And it's the same, no? Saying something that is wrong and saying something that is not proven are almost tantamount, almost equal, no? Kasi syempre, nga naman parang, kumbaga yung sinasabi natin dapat di mo sinasabi pagka mali and dapat di mo sinasabi kung wala kang pruweba, di ba?
That's true. That's why if you won't mind me reading, actually a few moments ago, I just read this. The National Historical Commission of the Philippines, signed by its chairman, Dr. Rene Escalante, who was my professor, released this statement. It's actually aligned towards your thought. Basahin ko lang yung parts niya, okay?
Sige, sir.
The National Historical Commission of the Philippines seeks to clarify that as of this date, we do not have any credible eyewitness account of any form of document that may be considered primary source that could shed light on Lapu-Lapu's birthplace, parents, and other details in his personal life. What we know about him are based on the accounts of the survivors of the first circumnavigation of the world, especially Antonio Pigafetta. Si Pigafetta kasi siya yung pinagkukunan natin ng detalye. The chronicler of the Magellan Elcano expedition, who mentioned that during the Battle of Mactan, April 27, 1521, Lapu-Lapu was the chieftain of Mactan. NHCP considers all popular accounts and stories outside of these historical sources as, to quote, speculative and folkloric, and should not be regarded as established facts of history.
Period. So tama. So parang parang yung nabanggit ko na anything that we don't have proof of is speculative, no? I'd like to point out yung Magellan Elcano expedition no? Parang dagdag lang natin. Who is Elcano? Si Sebastian Elcano, if I remember it right, tama ba?
Yeah, siya yung pumalit kay Magellan, siya na-take over kasi nadedo si Magellan. So he led the remnants of what the remains of the expedition, and he spearheaded the return of the Spaniards back to Spain. Kaya technically, siya ang original nag-circumnavigate.
That's right. Kasi
hindi si Magellan kasi patay na si Magellan sa Pilipinas.
Hindi na nakaikot si Magellan. So hindi niya na-circumnavigate yung yung mundo. So, it's Elcano, it's Sebastian Elcano and the survivors
And the
of that
survivors.
expeditions who actually were I think, attributed the first people who circumnavigated the world. So, napaka-importante din pala na yung expedition na yun ay kasama, hindi lang Magellan Expedition, but Magellan Elcano Expedition. At napaka-tricky, no? Talagang, biruin mo, you know, when you are a public figure, not only as a politician, no, may mga celebrities, mga influencers, even professionals na nakikipaghalubilo sa mga tao, like teachers and like us, like teachers, na napaka-tricky. It's a very tricky ground yung kailangan nagfa-fact check tayo. Even historical facts, especially I think historical facts, kailangan pina-fact check natin kasi bilang public figures, whatever we say, meron tayong a certain level of influence na kung ano yung sasabihin natin, yung mga taong nakikinig sa atin, they're inclined to believe, no? They're inclined to believe us. Kaya it's a very tricky. And of course, the senator apologized for his misgivings, which is good. In fact, the senator is also I think a victim of misinformation. Ako tinitignan ko lang rito sa may no. So, eto no, everyone can be a victim even if you're a big public figure. Everyone can be a victim kasi as of this recording, binabasa ko lang dito sa sa Google ngayong April 13 ni-record namin. Nakalagay sa Wikipedia. So Christopher Go is a Filipino politician who has been serving as senator since 2019. Tama, na-election ng 2019. Pero nakalagay dito, position is guard. I'm not sure kung diba, hindi ako sigurado kung meron sa Senate na tinatawag na guard. Siguro meron mga ganon. Pero, diba, parang unless there is something, unless a certain Senate position says guard, this is incorrect. No? Hindi siya guard. He's a senator. Diba? So,
duly elected
senator of the Republic. So, and let's face it, Wikipedia is not a very reliable source. Siguro, pwede yung mga simpleng facts, kung saan ka pinanganak, kung kailan ka pinanganak, pwede. And I'm saying pwede. Kasi pwede rin nating i-edit. Pwede kong i-edit yung mga yung mga facts dyan. Pwede kong ilagay na pinanganak ako ng 1800s. Buhay pa ako hanggang 2021, di ba? So, yun lang. So, I think more than that, no, even the senator is a victim of this false information sa kanyang profile sa Wikipedia. And everyone, all of us can be a victim, can fall victim to the trap of disinformation and historical distortion. And hindi lang tayo nagfo-fall sa trap na yon. Pwedeng tayo mismo kahit gusto natin or kahit di natin sinasadya, or baka nga may iba sinasadya, no? Sometimes I hope walang nagsasadya. I hope we're just, alam mo yun, I hope lahat tayo pag nagkakamali tayo about these things, yung hindi innocent mistake. Hopefully. Pero as we all know, sometimes there are people who, syempre, kumikita sila sa mga gantong bagay, kaya nagpa-perpetuate ang historical distortion at ang historical disinformation. So pag-usapan naman natin yon, Sir Jamaico. Sa tingin mo ba, gaano katalamak ang historical distortion at disinformation sa panahon natin ngayon?
Well, social media facilitated an explosion of historical distortion. But to further answer that, let's first try to define ano ba historical distortion.
Ano ba? Okay.
Let's differentiate muna historical distortion from historical revisionism. Kasi people tend to conflate distortion with revisionism. Okay. Revisionism is a far more broader term. Mas malawak na konsepto siya. According to Barbara Krasner, published in 2019, a book, pangalan ng book niya, Historical Revisionism din. Yung core definition ng historical revisionism ay, to quote, it is the reinterpretation of a historical account or narrative based on actual facts and authenticated evidence. So meaning, pag sinabi nating historical revisionism, binabago mo yung naratibo dahil meron kang bagong facts, may bago kang evidence. So updating. Now, when you update a narrative based on evidence, you update history based on evidence, it's not necessarily always bad. It can be good. Lalo na kung totoo naman talaga yung data. Lalo na kung totoo yung facts. Now, that being said, that can also be bad. Dito papasok yung historical distortion. Yung historical distortion kasi, it's the negative kind of historical revisionism. Ito, yung panlilin lang, gamit ng falsification or paninira or pagbabago, yung intentional na pagsira ng mga naratibo. In fact, Dr. Cristina Cristobal published in her interview back in 2019 in the Inquirer, she defined historical distortion through the following. To quote, historical distortion is when historical accounts or narratives are changed, binabago, are changed to suit a personal agenda, and that involves disinformation and lies to change history. Binabago mo yung kasaysayan, hindi dahil ina-update mo. Meron kang agenda, and kadalasan kasinungalingan to. Minsan hindi totoo to, at minsan binabaluktot yung katotohanan. Kaya medyo yung historical distortion, talamak siya kasi hindi naman lahat ng tao historians. Hindi naman lahat ng tao teachers. Hindi naman lahat researchers. Kahit anong i-publish mo sa YouTube, sa Facebook, mukha lang siyang kapanipaniwala, pero wala namang maayos na ebidensya, walang maayos na primary source, walang maayos na mga pinaghuhugutan na totoong ebidensya, papapaniwala yung mga tao. People being busy with their lives, being busy with their jobs, kung mukhang maganda yung lumabas sa iyong feed, sa Twitter, sa Reddit,
oh
my God, si Hitler, tatay niya si Rizal, ang ganda ng ebidensya niya. Oh my God, bakit hindi to tinuturo sa Philippine history class ko? Yun, my friends, is an example of historical distortion. Mukhang kapanipaniwala kung maganda yung pag-argumentation mo, lalo na if you're a fictional writer, but if you don't have any evidence to back it up and people believe it, that's historical distortion.
Oh, and sometimes sometimes tama ka in our busy life, meron pa ba tayong oras na i-confirm yan? And if the story sells, it sells, no? Diba? Pag banat na banat yung storyang yan sa YouTube, di ba? And talaga namang, di ba, maniniwala ka talaga pag action-packed yung kwento, no? So oo nga, no? So for example, revisionism may be necessary sometimes if there is new evidence. So for example, meron akong mga medals kasi war hero ako, kunwari. Pero lately, biglang na-discover, wala pala. So pwedeng, pagka ang ginawa sa history, pinalitan na wala akong medals, that's revisionism. That is not necessarily bad. Kasi
that's true.
Oo
Lalo na kung binerify ng US Pentagon na hindi totoo yung medals na yon, wala kang magagawa kasi nasa kanila yung records.
Tama, oo. So kumbaga, kung talagang walang records, pwedeng baguhin yung history if there is new and reliable data that will not only support but otherwise contradict a previously stated historical record.
Tumpak.
So ibig sabihin, even our historical records now, pwede pa rin silang kumbaga, if there is new evidence, pwede pa rin i-revise for as long as new and reliable evidence can be found.
That's true. Kaya nga ayokong gamitin yung salitang revisionism. Revisionism is not necessarily always bad. You have to update it. I'll give another example. Nung tayo na sa grade school, ang laging tinuturo sa atin ang peopling of the Philippines, mga sinaunang Pilipino, ganito ang stages. Una, may mga Negrito. Sunod, yung mga Indones. sunod yung mga mali. And that's based on a racist concept of an American anthropologist who taught it in the Philippines, when in fact, the peopling of the Philippines came from the concept called the Austronesian, meaning may mga sinaunang Pilipino na na pumunta dito naturally, not according to the skin color, kasi yung original na theory na binanggit, nakabase siya according to skin color, kaya may pagka-racist na dating siya. Yung Austronesian theory, binase nila to sa paglalakbay ng mga tao through, ang ginamit nilang evidence dito, DNA, languages, etc. The point being is, yung racist narrative na yun, napalitan with the more scientific narrative on the peopling of the Philippines. So there, revisionism is necessary because we're going to hold on very wrong, probably sometimes racist narratives if we won't update it. Kaya maganda rin minsan yung, I'll use the term positive revisionism. I don't want to use the all-encompassing term of revisionism because it can be good. The problem is the negative revisionism, which is the term that we used earlier, historical distortion, or for some, they would say negationism or denialism. Another form of example, sa Amerika, lalo na yung mga white supremacists who would deny the Holocaust.
Mga Holocaust deniers.
Yeah, that's true. And there are a lot of them. They would not acknowledge that the Holocaust happened despite the voluminous evidence, pictures, narratives from people who actually survive, documents, videos from the camps, etc. They would deny it and they would say those were just simply fabricated by the US government and whatever conspiracy theory that we would say. Sasabihin ng iba sa kanila, Hitler was good. He strengthened Germany and strengthened the military of the German people, strengthened the economy. The only thing that happened is natalo lang siya sa World War, pinagmukha lang siyang masama by saying he killed 6 million Jews. No! That's distortion. You're literally denying the voluminous facts by focusing on the facts that Hitler strengthened Germany. Yes, there is, I will acknowledge, Germany at the first few years of Hitler's era, period or reign in Germany was okay economy-wise, but there is a certain group of people who suffered at that expense. The Jews, the Gypsies, the political enemies of Hitler who were, quote-unquote, expunged from the narrative of German history during that period of Nazi Germany. That, in a sense, is historical distortion as well.
Oo, kasi
dinideny mo. Go ahead, sorry.
And even yung pagka nagtatanggal ka ng mga, for example, yan, balikan natin, yung mga kalaban ni Hitler na pinapatay niya eh. Of course, pagka wala ka ng kalaban na magsasalita against you later on to write history, talaga nga namang, 'di ba? Wala nga namang claims against you. So, I believe, no, distortion is not only happening with things that are already done. Distortion may happen when you try to prevent historical writing for the future. So, for example, ako, kunwari, naging, let's say, parang si Hitler, naging pangulo ako, 'di ba? And then, may mga kaaway ako, sabihin ko, in the future, pag nakasurvive yung mga kaaway ko, isusulat nila na isa akong corrupt, isa akong mamamatay tao, isa akong magnanakaw. Before that even happens, I'll have them removed, di ba? One way or the other. And that may also be manipulating history. Kasi alam ko na pag wala na sila, hindi na masusulat yung mga masasamang bagay tungkol sa akin. And what would happen when that happens? Then, the nation will find out that I am a great leader. Kahit, di ba? At what expense? Yun eh. Parang, si Hitler po ang pinag-uusapan natin, just to clarify.
Yeah, Hitler po.
Si Hitler po. Although, of course, if you have someone else in mind, let us know. So, let us know. Pero totoo yun, no? May mga deniers ng Holocaust. In fact, may mga conspiracy theorists na nagsasabi rin na the moon landing was faked. And that is parang I've actually seen that, and I've seen a parang mini documentary debunking those who debunk it. no? Parang sinasabi na, well, sige, tignan natin yung iyong I think that's Adam basta it's in the internet, pero yun nga, it's in the internet again. So I have to verify, di ba? Pero dinedebunk niya naman na your claim that the moon landing was a hoax that actually doesn't make sense because it would be more expensive to stage a fake moon landing than going to the moon in 1960s, di ba? Parang kung, di ba? Kung ako ang Amerika, magpunta na lang tayo sa buwan dahil mas mahal kung i-stage natin. Diba? So, talaga namang, and
you have to realize NASA is getting a lot of budget during that time. So ano yun? Tinatapon lang nila yung pera kung saan.
Diba? Oo. And napakadaming empleyado ng NASA. Ano yun? Lahat yun nagsinungaling? Diba? And other countries also. Ito sinabi dun sa video na napanood ko, no? Yung other countries picked up the signal. So alam mo naman nagsinungaling yung ibang bansa. What do they get out of that, 'di ba? Ayun, Adam ruins everything. So yun yung parang comedy series kung saan comedy series eh. So baka sabihin ng mga viewers natin, comedy series yan bakit mo ginawang reliable source? Well, example lang. So pwede nyo ring i-debunk yung pagde-debunk nung debunking niya. So debunk, mag-cancel out kayo. Pero yun eh. So pwedeng it's very important that we update all this historical information. Naalala ko nga yung sinabi mo yung Negrito, Indones, Malayan, na parang tinuro din sa akin yan na ganun yung stages, no? And balikan natin yung kanina, ang tinuro sa akin nung elementary, Ferdinand Magellan was the first person to circumnavigate the planet. And then nung college, come to think of it, from grade 2 to first year college, it's a very long time. Nung college lang, sinabi ng professor namin na hindi yun pwedeng mangyari dahil namatay na siya sa Pilipinas.
Exactly. Paano mangyayari? Ano yun? Naging zombie siya? Zombie apocalypse, 15th century style? Sumama siya sa ship pabalik ng Pilipinas? No, he's already dead in the Philippines by that time.
Oo, and I think hindi nga nila na-retrieve yung katawan niya eh. Diba? I mean, the natives would not want to. Ayaw nila.
His body was never recovered. Hindi na na-recover.
Oo, parang ano yun eh. Parang trophy eh. So talagang napaka-importante na we are well-informed kasi historical distortion is a form of disinformation. Diba? And disinformation is a very deadly weapon, lalo na sa ating panahon ngayon that information is just available everywhere, no? Or rather, misinformation is available everywhere. Yung palang mga chain messages natin nung mga unang panahon eh. Pag hindi mo pinasa sa laming 5 tao, susumpain ka ng 7 years. Feeling ko nga yun yung dahilan kung bakit may pandemic ngayon. Marami sa atin ang hindi nagpasa ng chain message 7 years ago. Kaya nangyayari ang mga ganyan ngayon. And speaking of, ano pa bang mga examples ng historical distortion on an international scale could you give us?
Soviet Union, lahat ng mga panahon ni Joseph Stalin, siya yung successor ni Vladimir Lenin, di ba? Ang gustong maging successor ni Vladimir Lenin, pangalan niya si Trotsky.
Yeah.
He did not become leader. Stalin became the leader. So what happened to Trotsky? He was forced to retreat to Mexico, later assassinated. So anong ginawa niya? Para hindi maalala ng mga tao si Trotsky, he erased, as in literally erased, anything related to Leon Trotsky. Yung pangalan niya, tanggalin sa official documents. Yung kanyang buhay sa mga biographies ni Lenin, tanggalin. Lahat ng pangalan niya, pati pictures, actually, if you're going to look at those old Soviet images na nandun si Trotsky, kinakat out nila, as in literal na kinakat out nila si Trotsky dun sa mga pictures, sa mga portraits, at ang pinagmumukha nila, yung gusto talaga ni Lenin na maging successor niya, si Stalin. So, they literally expunged or erased not just his life, but his existence in Soviet history upang ipagmuka na ang quote-unquote bayani in communist Soviet Union was not Trotsky, but more of Stalin. Kaya that's another large-scale example kasi lahat ng kalaban ni Stalin, yun yung ginawa niya. Pina-erase nila as if they didn't existed. As in, nawala sila sa buhay. Maghanap ka ng picture, pati yung mga kamag-anakan nila, pinagpapatay. So nawawala sila sa kasaysayan ng Soviet Union. It is only later on, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the fall of Stalin, na nagsisilabasan itong mga detaling ito na tinatanggal sa naratibo ng Soviet Union sa yung mga taong ito. So that's one form of distortion as well, wherein you try to make one person, in this case Stalin, quote-unquote heroic, by removing the enemy, his political enemies, from the picture. So you're the hero, there's no enemy, ergo, you're the godlike figure.
Totoo, no? Talagang, so even when you try to, I guess, remove your enemies from the picture, talagang distortion siya. That's the same way, I think, as not only discrediting, so talking about Joseph Stalin, no, or leaders in general, not only discrediting the previous leader who handled the nation, but also tarnishing their legacies by blaming them for problems that most probably you're supposed to fix, no? As leader. So, balik na naman tayo dun. Pangarap ko talaga to na maging pangulo, di ba? So, for example, ako naging pangulo, tapos may mga problemang nangyayari sa bayan ko, no? At hindi ko maayos. Di ba? Hindi ko maayos kasi mag-aanim na taon na, hindi ko pa naayos. Sabi ko, ano lang in a few months lang. Let's say, ano bang few months? 3 to 6? O yun. Sabi kong ganyan, aayusin ko, hindi ko naayos. So, ano magiging scapegoat ko? Historical distortion. Sisisihin ko na lang yung previous na mga leaders. Sasabihin ko, wala kasi silang ginawa. Hindi kasi nila pinagtanggol yung bayan. Hindi nila pinakain yung mga nangangailangan. No, pwede natin gawin yun eh. No? And yes, I think it is being weaponized. I think Donald Trump did something like that. Diba? Donald Trump did something like that. Siguro yung mga listeners sa nagtataka, ba't lumalayo pa kayo? Gusto po namin lumayo. Opo, gusto po namin lumayo. Yun nga. Pero yun nga, no, talagang minsan wini-weaponize din ng mga leaders globally ang historical distortion by blaming previous countries or previous leaders of the nation because
historical distortion has been a weapon ever since in order to make dictators or powerful leaders to make themselves look good or rising political leaders look good. Kaya maganda siya, well, I'm not saying maganda siya, pero meaning potent weapon siya na mga ganong uri mga authoritarian leaders. And unfortunately, ang nagsasuffer doon, katotohanan, truth suffers from historical distortion.
Talaga naman. And that is a very important lesson. No? Talagang we have to be very judicious. Kailangan, wow, lalim ng judicious, di ba? Highfalutin. Siguro, kailangan, dapat pag-isipan talaga natin. No? Parang kailangan na suriin nating maigi kung ano ba yung sinasabi ng mga tao sa ating paligid, no? And totoo yan pag nagkakamali ba sila, ano ang kanilang ginagawa? Sila ba ay humihingi ng tawad? Sila ba ay pinagtatanggol ba nila yung kanilang maling ginagawa? O gumagawa sila ng ibang sitwasyon kung saan sinasabi nila na mali yung ginawa ko, pero mas mali yung ginawa niya. Mali yung ginawa ko, pero tignan mo yung ginagawa nila, mas masama. Hindi pwedeng ganun eh. that is distortion, no? And hindi pwedeng laging the lesser evil. Hindi pwedeng the lesser truth, no? Dapat kung ano yung ginagawa mo na masama, aayusin mo. Hindi ka maninisi ng kapwa mo, hindi ka maninisi ng iba, and definitely hindi mo babaguhin ang naratibo para magmukhang maganda ang iyong pangalan. So napakaganda nitong mga larawan na tinitingnan natin, no? Si Joseph Stalin, talagang tinatanggal niya sa picture yung mga taong ayaw niya, no?
FYI lang para sa ating listeners, pinapakita ko lang kay Mr. Samson ng ilang pictures ng mga taong quote-unquote in-erase ni Joseph Stalin sa kanyang leadership. May mga political enemies siya. Kung makikita dito sa picture, describe ko lang, doon sa first picture, may katabi siya. Tapos, doon sa second picture, as in, sinaunang Photoshop, biglang nawala yung katabi niya. Political enemy yan. Yan yung ginagawa, yan yung historical distortion na ginagawa ni Stalin sa mga kalaban niya. He literally erases people from the face of the earth, whether through their lives or through history.
Or through historical records, no? Iba pala to si Joseph Stalin parang parang galit na ex-boyfriend o ex-girlfriend pagka nakipag-break, tatanggalin niya yung picture nung di ba? Ayun, ito information lang po natin mga listeners, talaga nakakatawa talagang tinanggal sa picture yung isa niyang kasama, parang assistant niya ba to? Guard siguro, no? Bodyguard o ewan ko siguro.
Hindi siya bodyguard, isang nakalimutan ko lang yung pangalan niya, but is one of the Soviet leaders, military leaders na nagsabi lang siya mali ginagawa ni Stalin. He's not actually opposing Stalin. He's just saying, he's pointing out that he's wrong. Then a few weeks later, wala na siya sa kasaysayan ng Soviet Union.
Grabe. Erased from history. Literally. Di ba? Tinanggal sa face ng Earth. So, salamat dito sa ating napakaganda ng ating diskusyon, no? And sa ating pagbabalik, siguro ngayon diniscuss natin kung paano nakakaapekto ang historical distortion at disinformation on a local and perhaps national level. Nagbanggit tayo ng mga leader kung saan wineponize o ginamit bilang sandata ang historical distortion para talunin ang kanilang mga political enemies at para paniwalain ang kanilang mga tauhan at ang kanilang mga constituents na sila ang pinakamagaling na mga leader sa kanilang bansa. Dalawa sa ating mga nabanggit ay si Joseph Stalin ng USSR at si Adolf Hitler ng Germany. Sa pagbabalik natin, malalaman natin paano nga ba nagagamit ng mga bansa ang historical distortion para labanan ang ibang bansa, whether sa kanilang territorial claims, whether sa kanilang mga sa kanilang mga artifact claims at sa iba't iba pang mga bagay. Pero dyan muna kayo, huwag kayong alis dahil magbabalik ang Historyreal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. And welcome back to our program, Historyreal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Ako po muli, si John Kevin Samson at kasama natin bilang kausap, kadaldalan at kaututang dila, si Sir Jamaico Ignacio. Sir Jamaico, hello ulit!
Hello din po ulit sa ating mga listeners.
Talagang napakaganda na ng ating pinag-uusapan. In fact, pinag-uusapan natin yung very reason kung bakit ang title ng ating podcast ay Historyreal, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Primarily because we are after fighting or moreover correcting historical distortions. Fighting parang napaka-violente, no? Parang suntukan. Pero correcting, I think that's a more civilized term, no, na we are correcting historical distortions, and maybe we are providing a clearer understanding of other aspects and angles in our history na hindi naman talaga natin masyado na pag-uusapan. And kanina na nga, pinag-usapan na natin kung ano ang historical distortion and whether we are able to do this intentionally or intentionally. And again, I'd like to think na pag nagkakaroon ng historical distortions, especially public figures, ito ay hindi intentional. Hopefully, no? And may kita naman natin yan eh. So, for example, si Senator Bongo nag-apologize siya dun sa mga historical inaccuracies. So I think naman it was not intentional for him that those claims were
made. He should fire his speechwriter.
He should fire his speechwriter, definitely. Am I free to be speechwriter? Maybe. And if the price is right. The joke lang po. May trabaho po ako. Baka ako naman ang masisante pagka bigla akong nagpalit ng trabaho without notifying my employer. Pero yun na nga, kumbaga, and even, again, nabanggit nga natin sa Wikipedia, no, yung claim na his position was guard. Yun nga, he's also a victim of distortion and disinformation. And nabanggit din natin how other leaders in history have weaponized historical distortion, such as Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. And we provided some examples kung kailan necessary ang historical revisionism. So again, pagka merong bagong ebidensya na lumabas, na babaguhin niya, siguro dadagdagan o babaguhin niya ang ating nakasanayang historical data, ay tandaan natin, revisionism is necessary. Okay? Lalo na kung meron tayong kailangang itama or dagdagan sa mga established historical facts na natin. For example, tulad nga ng sabi natin kanina, wala pa tayong ebidensya sa ilang mga aspeto ng buhay ni Lapu-Lapu. Pero kung sakaling malaman natin, sabihin natin, kung malaman natin kung kailan ang kanyang birthday, yon ay we need to revise that. Kailangan natin idagdag. On the other hand, pwede rin ang pagdadagdag, ang revisionism ay pagbabago sa ating mga nakasanayang historical data. Tulad ng noon ang ating natutunan ay Magellan was the first to circumnavigate the globe. But that has to be revised because of the simple fact na hindi niya na pwedeng ma-circumnavigate ang mundo dahil sa Pilipinas pa lang ay hindi na siya nakaalis. It was a one-way ticket for him. Okay? But luckily for some of his friends, it was not a one-way ticket. No? So ngayon naman pag-uusapan natin, posible bang magamit ng mga bansa ang historical distortion para mangbuli, no, ng iba pang mga bansa? So Sir Jamaica, meron bang instance ng historical distortion ay nagagamit para mabago ang naratibo so that other countries can claim what is something that is not theirs?
Well, let's just look at contemporary issues na related to history.
Okay?
The West Philippine Sea issue. Okay?
Ayun.
Medyo problematic siya for a lot of people, but for me and for many scholars, historically, I think the Philippines has a stronger claim towards the Scarborough Shoal area, towards the some of the islets closer to the Philippines. Why? For thousands and thousands of years, China, everybody knows, is a 1,000-year-old, more than a 1,000-year-old civilization. Matagal na yan. Nobody's contesting that. It's a strong and powerful civilization that traces its history to ancient classical times.
Tama.
So, if you're going to look at its cartography, its maps, its geography, na ginawa niya for those thousands and thousands of years, yung mapa niya with regards to ownerships and claims, yung kabuuan ng mapa niya na kiniklaim niya, normally, ang with regards to the West Philippine issue, ang pinaka-southern area na ino-own niya ay yung bandang Hainan Island ng China. Yung Hainan Island na yun, malapit sa China. Meaning, hindi kasama yung mga islets further down, further south of China, like the Scarborough Shoal. It's too far. It's too far from China. Kaya, I find it difficult to believe China claiming the West Philippine Sea under historical claims. Why? Kasi ang ginagamit nilang historical claim ay one, yung mapa na ginawa daw ng mga nationalists ng Kuomintang ng pamahalaan ni Chiang Kai-shek, kung saan bigla nilang gumawa sila ng 9 or during that time 11 dashes line na naging 9 dashes line, claiming the entirety of what they say the South China Sea, when in reality medyo arbitrary yung paggawa ng dashes line yun. It's very arbitrary. And second, isang historical claim nila, marami daw natatagpo ang junk ships, Chinese junk ships, merchant ships within this area. That's why they have a historical claim. But medyo problematic yung claim na yun. Why? For one, if you're going to use junk ships, mga lumubog na barko in the ocean to claim territory abroad, that's very weak. Kasi say for example, I'll give you an example.
Sige, sige.
The Titanic. It's from it lumuwas siya from the port in Southampton in England. Okay. Lumubog siya somewhere in Canada, along the oceans of Canada and America, somewhere around that area. Nakita nila yung Titanic. Does that mean the British has a claim over those
ocean, di ba?
Near Canada and America?
Hindi lang yung ocean na yun. Pwede ba silang mag-9 dash line dun sa buong dinaanan nung Titanic, di ba? Hindi naman.
Exactly. So, no, that's a very weak argument. Those are merchant ships. Those are ships of transportation, not of territorial ownership. So, that's a weak argument. Now, for the 9 dashes line argument, the map during the 1900s, that's very arbitrary. That has weak historical precedent. Why? If you're going to look at older maps of China, as I mentioned, they don't have claims or they haven't drawn any islands down further south, the Hainan Island. So meaning hanggang dun sa Hainan Island area lang yung ownership nila. Habang ang Pilipinas, merong mapa na nag-show o nagpapakita na ginagamit ng mga Pilipino ang ilang isa dito sa West Philippine Sea, like the Scarborough Shoal. One example that has been used many times, I believe has been used during that arbitration proceedings that led to the victory of the Philippines, was the Velarde or the Murillo Velarde map. Who's Murillo Velarde? He's a Jesuit priest. You know Jesuits, they're very scholastics. They're very, other than being priests, they're also scholars in education. Sila Saint Xavier, etc. He commissioned a map. He commissioned a map in 1734 that depicts the lives of Filipinos in the Philippines. He didn't just draw a map, pati yung buhay, mga pictures ng buhay sa Pilipinas dun sa gilid-gilid ng mapa. Makikita mo doon. Yung mga tao, paano sila mabuhay, yung kasuotan nila, etc. And if you're going to look at the map, merong mga isa doon, west of the Philippines, islets na pinupuntahan ng mga mangingisda. Ito yung Scarborough Shoal, a 1734 map that depicts the islands west of the Philippines proves that the Filipinos has been using all of these islands economically before. And there's a claim of ownership kasi ginagamit natin to beforehand. Before this West Philippine Sea issue, malaya nangingisda itong mga taong, mga Pilipinong ito, noon at noon pa, tracing back to the 1734 as documented by that map. Thus proving the point na mas may claim tayo dito. Unfortunately, China, by virtue of its quote-unquote rising power, is quote-unquote distorting history by saying that's more of ours based on our flimsy 9-9 claim.
So 1734, we have already mapped. No, nakagawa na tayo ng mapa. That's what I think that was the Spanish era, no? Mga Kastila pa ang, so we're under the Spanish crown. And we were already, or a map has already been commissioned para ipakita kung ano ba ang teritoryo ng Pilipinas. And kasama na nga rito yung mga isla doon sa, yung mga disputed islands doon sa West Philippine Sea, where in fact, the 9-dash line or then the 11-dash line was only around 1900s.
Correct. If you're going to look the maps, yung islang ang pinangalan doon sa mga islets doon. Yun yung Islands of Galit, Islands of Panakot.
Oh.
Kaya nakakatakot. Nakakatakot kasi ang hirap bumaybay papunta doon eh. Pero kahit ang hirap bumaybay papunta doon sa mga isang yun, pinupunta ng mga isla kasi mayaman siya sa resources.
Natural resources.
Tayong gumagamit yan, hindi sila. Ngayon lang nila ginagamit yan.
Where in fact, in 1700s, China does not have in its maps these islands. And let's face it, sila yung unang gumawa ng mga mapa. Di ba? If that was theirs, first and foremost, matagal na nilang nagawan ng mapa. Oo, tama, di ba? Kung sa kanila nga yan, matagal na nilang nagawa ng mapa. Kasi aminin natin, sila ay nagkaroon ng teknolohiya. Isa sila sa mga una nagkaroon ng teknolohiya para gumawa ng mapa. No?
Yes.
It took us until 1700s to have our own map. And we already had claims with these islands. And sila, in all those years, na meron silang kakayahang gumawa ng mapa, na meron silang kapasidad na mag-cartograph or na mag-drawing ng kanilang mga mapa dahil may mga barko na sila eh. Di ba? With their capacity, hindi pa sila nakapag-drawing, hindi pa nila na-i-drawing yan sa kanilang mapa. And the 9-dash line, you are saying, is a product of a certain Chinese administration that is just trying to bully its way in the entire region.
Malakas kasi yung Chinese nationalism eh. Pride na yan eh. But more recently, mas nagkakaroon sila ng interest sa West Philippine Sea because there are economic considerations to look at. Other than the fisheries, other than the being an economic passageway by a lot of ships, may oil daw.
Ooh.
Although hindi pa explored, hindi pa.
Okay.
There are scientific estimations na meron daw gas diyan. Kaya nga yung Malampayad, malapit-lapit yung Malampayad diyan. Marami sila nakukuha diyan gas and natural gas and oil na untap. So my personal theory, although a lot of people, a lot of scholars believe this as well, na kaya lumalakas yung at naglalakas ng loob mag-claim yung mga Chinese na angkin niyan is because they want to tap the hidden economic treasures of the area.
Ayun. And we know that in our sa mundo natin ngayon na nagre-rely sa energy, oil is actually a very precious resource. No? Talaga namang napaka-importante. I mean, isipin mo na lang kung anong bagay na importante sa ating buhay ngayon ang pinapaandar ng langis, ang ating mga sasakyan. In fact, yung ating mga kuryente, many of them are still oil powered, di ba? I think we're still far away from energy na hindi nagre-rely sa oil. Hopefully though, for our environment, we are able to discover something of sort. Pero siguro at the moment talaga, and most probably even in the foreseeable future, we will still rely on oil. Oil will remain as a precious material. And if that theory is true, no, then talaga namang there is something that's hiding there na kailangan nating ipaglaban. And there were claims na hindi natin ito pinaglalaban, pinabayaan natin ang West Philippine Sea issue. Which, walang katotohanan. First and foremost, I believe ito ay pinaglaban sometime around 2010 or 2012. So, again, mga ka-historil, kung pwede nyo ako i-fact check kung mali yung aking claims.
2012.
No?
Mas 2012 siya.
Around 2012, ipinaglaban ng ating bansa ang ating karapatan at ang ating pagmamayari sa mga lugar na yan sa West Philippine Sea. And isa itong madugong labanan, no? Napakatagal nito, from 2012 to 2016. That's around 4 years, 4 na taon ipinaglaban ito. And in 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague unanimously ruled out in favor of the country of the Philippines and rejected China's sweeping claims over virtually the entire sea areas falling within the 9-dash line. The tribunal also found that China had caused severe harm to the marine environment because of its land reclamation. Ito po ay ito'y kinote ko sa CNN Philippines, no? So yung binasa ko, kinote ko yun sa CNN Philippines. In my understanding, hindi lamang sa atin in-award, no? Na hindi, I wouldn't say award dahil first and foremost atin yun eh. Pero legally, hindi lamang ibinigay, hindi lamang idineklara na sa atin ang mga teritoryong ito sa West Philippine Sea. Bagkus, gusto kong banggitin yung part. The tribunal also found that China had caused severe harm to the marine environment. Meaning, hindi lang sa atin yung lugar na yon, bagkus China also owes us. May utang siya sa atin dahil sa mga bagay na nasira niya doon na hindi naman sa kanya. So, di ba? So, dalawa ang naipanalo natin doon. Naipanalo natin na sa atin ang teritoryong yon, at naipanalo natin na dapat magbayad ang China sa mga bagay na sinira niya sa ating teritoryo.
The Hague arbitration proves that their historical claims are flimsy. Napaka-flimsy. Their maps are, well, they're ancient maps. Some of the maps are older than the concept of Philippines. But even by that, those thousands of years of history of China, hindi nila pinapakita yung Scarborough Shoal, tsaka yung parts ng West Philippine Sea. It proves that there is a distortion, historical distortion, a narrative of historical distortion in the heads of a lot of Chinese, because they believe that these are part of their territory, being promoted by the Communist Party of China, because they want something there.
That's
they
right.
want after something there. May habol sila dyan. Kaya, historically, mas matibay tayo. And the mere fact that Hague sided with us proves that the facts that we have, as proven by the Murillo Velarde map of 1734, shows that history is on our side. Mas malakas yung kabig, given the fact that China is already an ancient civilization. Yan na. So,
diba?
And the Hague is filled by a set of judges who doesn't really have wala silang pakialam talaga dito eh. They're objective judges who just read the facts. Mga Europeans, ito ang layo-layo nito sa anong aanhin nila dito? Kaya nung binasa nila yung mga detalye, political, economic, historical claims, dito makikita objectively sa Pilipinas dapat yung bahaging yan ng West Philippine Sea. Napupumilit yung China. Recently, sinabi nga ng China, di ba? Respect our rights over these territories.
And our Department of National Defense has already fought them, saying na China does not have any claim to say that. No, the Department of National Defense and the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
I salute our soldiers. Saludo ako sa mga sundalo natin.
They have already claimed na no, you cannot be here. No, talaga namang ang ating mga kasundaluhan ay matapang na biruin mo, ang lalaki ng mga barko doon mga yun eh. Pero our soldiers are there and they keep them at bay, no? But still, the distortion, the disinformation, and the historical distortion prevails. Bakit? Dahil hindi lamang yung ancient history ang dinidistort, because even the contemporary history that we won the 2016 the arbitral claim, we won the Hague awarding, no? Nanalo tayo sa ating claim sa West Philippine Sea in 2016, and even that is being distorted by claims that our country did nothing to prevent. Meron po tayong ginawa para ipagtanggol ang West Philippine Sea. Ito po ay napasa atin na, and what is stopping us? Well, all we have to do is to assert that right. Many people are claiming na pag ginawa natin yun, gegerahin tayo ng China. And to them, I would say, kung gusto tayong gerahin ng China, matagal na nilang ginawa yun. Sa laki ng mga barko nila, sa dami ng mga puwersa nila, matagal na nilang ginawa yon. By the fact na hindi pa nila yung ginagawa, and by the fact na hindi nila yung magawa sa iba ring mga bansa na lumalaban sa kanila, we should not fear about that. They have no standing. Hindi ko ba alam kung saan nanggagaling yung mga fears of warfare na yan.
China's being careful as well. War is very difficult to happen. For one, China's a rising power. Even though China's a rising power, you have to realize it's still, in terms of military, still second to America. Second, we have a mutual defense treaty, the Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951 with the United States. According to that treaty, kahit anong military ship, atakihin ng kahit anong foreign enemy, automatic, the US is obliged to send its Pacific Fleet to the Philippines and defend it. What is approved in America and the Philippines, pagtatanggol ng Pilipinas. And China doesn't want war right now when it's still a rising power. That's why I find it, based on my own scholastic opinion, mahirap dumigma o makipagdigmaan ngayon, given the fact the Philippines is powerful by virtue of its Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951. So war, it's not really possible. It will be politically unwise for the Chinese to do so because they're going to lose a lot of their economic assets. And given the fact that Japan and India, its direct neighbors, are not really friendly with it as well.
That is true.
They're just going to lose more. They're just going to lose more if they're going to do so.
And recently, there has been already tensions in the border of China and India, no? So talagang it's not again. Also same in my more scholastic opinion. I am not a war expert, no? Siguro ang pinaka may claim to expertise in war magaling ako maglaro ng Red Alert, and that is debatable. That is debatable, no? Baka may makatalo sa akin dyan. But again, no, knowing that China, that everyone's eyes are on China right now, not only because of its bullying in the West Philippine Sea, of its bullying with the Indian Army, but because, let's face it, everyone's looking at them because the pandemic apparently started there. Lahat ng bansa ay nakatingin doon. And yes, that's true. It's not going to be wise for China to declare war against us. And if that's the case, and I know their leaders know it as well, and their leaders are careful about it as well, if that's the case, then what gives? Bakit hindi tayo lumalaban? Dahil ba na-weaponize na sa atin ang historical distortion? Dahil ba talamak ang ating disinformation? Are we disempowered by these weaponized distortion and disinformation? Nawawalan ba tayo ng kapangyarihan bilang mga Pilipino? And is that the effect of distortion and disinformation? Nawawalan nga ba tayo ng kapangyarihan? Alam mo sir, hindi naman mapagkakaila ang bilis at lawak na kayang abutin ng mga impormasyon. Dapat tayo ay maging mas mapanuri at mas maingat sa mga impormasyon na ating binabasa at binabahagi. Higit sa lahat, huwag nating kalimutan ang isa sa mga bagay na bata pa lamang ay itinuturo na sa atin, ang magsabi ng totoo at huwag magsinungaling. At sa kaso ng ating pag-aaral ng kasaysayan, dapat matutunan natin na alamin ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan, dahil itong katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan ang siyang magpapalakas at magpapalaya sa atin upang tayo ay maging tunay na makabayang Pilipino. Maraming salamat Sir Jamaica sa ating discussion. Talaga namang napakalaman ng ating discussion. Finally, na-discuss na rin natin itong historical distortion and historical disinformation. At maraming salamat din po sa ating mga tagapakinig ngayong gabi. Sana po ay meron tayong natutunan sa gabi na ito. Abangan po ninyo ang susunod na episode. Muli, ako po ang inyong lingkod, si Kevin Samson. At kasama ko po muli si Sir Jamaica Ignacio. At ito ang History, ang katotohanan sa ating kasaysayan at lipunan. Paalam!
Thank you po. Maraming salamat.
Happy Labor Day pala sa inyo. Mayong ulo!